What up guys, welcome back to a brand new Paragon video. My name is Y8Max and I'm super stoked to have you here once again. Today we're gonna walk through a guide to deck building in Paragon, specifically for version 44. They have been adding up cards and making balances in the card. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna explain how I actually build my decks. I have been requests through Twitter and other social media sources to give this guide. So I'm going to do it for you guys because I feel it's a really awesome idea. Well, let's jump ahead. So we're gonna start like understanding first the decks, okay? I don't have too many decks in this account, but anyway, the first thing that we're gonna walk through is cards, okay? You have to know that at the moment we have 5 affinities. You got growth, knowledge, order, death, and chaos, okay? Chaos. Each affinity can be used by any hero, so there is no affinity restriction to a certain hero, okay? So a mid laner can go with order and death, or chaos, knowledge, etc. okay? So I'm gonna explain a little bit what is the main focus of each affinity. That doesn't mean that they offer other abilities or other stuff, but they have like a main focus of what they provide to the hero. So for growth, for example, they are the green ones. They are mostly for sustainability and survivability through the game. It doesn't give you like potions or something like that in order to survive. It provides health regen, it provides max health per level, and so forth. So the main focus of growth is sustainability, survivability, so take that into account. Like I said before, that doesn't mean that you can find other cards, like for example this one, Sweet Hunter, that give you 15 attack speed and 10 power. That it doesn't mean that you won't find cards like that in the deck, okay? But the set of cards in this affinity is more focused on survivability and sustain, okay? So keep that in mind. Knowledge, that they are the blue one, are mainly focused on ability power, okay? For casters is very important, okay, to have ability power. So this set of cards is mainly focused on ability power to actually use it and do damage, okay? So that's you need this set of cards for, okay? As you can see, you have this card, for example, give power equal to 1% of max mana. Is focused on giving ability power, okay? So that doesn't mean you can find other cards that can help you, like mana shout, or like supply searching with the mana shout active, or Astral Leap with the blink active, and so forth. So but they're mainly focused in ability power. Order is more for supporting roles, okay? You will find wards, you will find cards that grant you with sustain, like but in a different way, like growth does. For example, it gives you armor, it gives you more health, and that's what they focus on. Or maybe they have, like for example, Sacred Alchemy, which grants you a shield while you strike the enemy. So for every the 20% equal to the basic damage that you deal is gonna be converted to a shield. So that will help you to survive and to keep the harassing the enemy and have a good sustain. So but they're mainly focused on support, wards. You get wards, you got a lot of cards that grant health, you can see heal aura and so forth, okay? Now we go with death. That's it's more like a set of cards that provide penetration. It goes damage, but in a different perspective that knowledge does or chaos does. They go for damage through penetration. Maybe they can cast a certain of debuff. They can, for example, blue damage aura, that is an ability damage that will make a link between you and an enemy and will keep doing damage and so forth. So it's kind of like a mainly curse that like you want to curse the enemy, so you use death, okay? It grants they have many cards and grant a lot of damage penetration, okay? In Chaos is mainly focused on attack speed and basic damage. So this is like the perfect deck, the perfect set of cards for carries, okay? That they need that increase of damage and attack speed, okay? For example, you got Red Zone, you got Shrouded Golem, and so forth. So those are like a general overview of the affinities, the affinities that currently Paragon has, and a little bit about about each one of them. Okay, now we're going to talk about gems. This is the second part of building a deck. Don't feel overwhelmed about the gems. I know it can be a little bit complicated because you can see that they repeat each other. Okay, you can see that they repeat, and it's kind of confusing. Like, okay, when I'm building a deck, what is the approach that I need to have? We'll get into that. Okay, so don't feel overwhelmed. You can see we have different types of gems. We have different grades or level of gems. You have really early common gems, okay, like Jungle Assassin is for early game. Then you have mid game gems that you can see over here. Then you have end games gems that you can see over here, okay. You can find sorry about that. You can find gems that are uncommon or rare. Like for example, this one that I got is a multi-shot rare gem, and the reason it's rare because it has a second passive that gives 60 health. So that's basically it's not what it's supposed to do, like give health. It's more for power or attack speed and so forth, but this one is rare because it grants the 60 health passive also when you actually equip it. Okay, so you have a total of 3 types of gems, okay? You got gems for agility, that are the orange one. You got gems for vitality, which are the green ones, and you have gems for intellect or knowledge, okay, that are the purple ones, okay. So for you can any hero can use any of the gems. You can actually equip any gem. So I really like that about Paragon, that there are no restrictions. So it actually let you experiment with all the decks, with all the set of cards, with all the gems, and I don't know, maybe you can try to do a Gideon jungle deck, I don't know, something weird, just to have fun. Okay, that is the point of the game, to have fun. So you can experiment with that, and that's pretty nice that the system and the mechanics of the game allow you to do that, to experiment. That's really nice. There is no restriction in the cards that you can use, nor in the gems that you can use. So now we're going for the decks. You need to know that we're gonna do a new deck. For example, you can see we have the 5 affinities here. That's the first thing that you gotta do. I will give you some tips in order to maybe help you guys and assist you better in order to make the decks. In Paragon, all heroes has a certain ability that make that certain hero different from the others. So for example, you have Twin Blast. Twin Blast have the double shot, and also Twin Blast has a really nice attack speed that is a little bit better than other carries, for example. So my advice to you is to try to understand the hero and to actually create a deck that enhance and improve that certain ability that he has that differed him from the other heroes. So for example, for Twin Blast, I don't know, Chaos is a good choice because it grants damage and also attack speed. So you want to increase his attack speed in order to secure, okay, the kills, and in order to output more damage. So you go with Chaos, and you can combine it with Death, you can combine it with Order, you can combine it with Knowledge, with Growth. You even cannot get Chaos. You can explore and experiment with different cards here. But that's the thing. Let's see my here I have a twin DPS deck with Growth. It has Growth because it will grant us a sustain, and also Growth has a really nice card named Trapper, which grants which has a passive in which when you hit the enemy, okay, basic attacks reduce the enemy movement speed, and it can stock up to 10 times, and when you reach that stack of hits, he's going to be rude for 1 second. So that's really nice because Twin Blast has a really good mobility with the dash, so you can keep your distance from the enemy, and you have to keep hitting him. And if he is a melee hero and he wants to approach to you in order to make the kill, or in order to ambush you or to hit you, whatever the enemy wants to do, you have to keep your distance and keep shooting, and he will eventually get rude, and the movement speed is going to be slower per hit, and it's going to be really hard for him to actually get to you. So that particular ability of Twin Blast with the double shot makes everything easier in order to trigger the passive of Trapper, okay, and that will help you to survive, okay. So I will give some tips about creating decks. We're going to this deck. Let's say we're going to make a new deck for Twin Blast. So I will advise, for example, you always need a set of cards that give you sustain. That's for all heroes, okay? You need to have, that's why you pick 2 affinities. I feel that the best way to do it is, the first affinity is to improve the ability that hero has that differ him from the other heroes, okay? So for example, for Gideon, we want a power and we want attack speed in order to improve his ability, his kit set, okay? So we pick Chaos, but we need something to actually make him more reliable, and to not need the assistance of the support every time. You don't want your support to be babysitting you, so you need a certain level of survivability and sustain. So you can go with Death, okay? You can go with Order and Growth for that purpose. I wouldn't advise Knowledge because we already have Chaos that will provide us with the cards that we need in order to improve his skill set. So let's say I will pick that, okay? So here we have all the cards. Probably you will start, oh, I like this one for that are the early games cards. The game actually set the cards in order from the early games to mid game to late game cards, okay? So you can identify them by how much points you need to spend in order to buy them. The cards that are from 1 point to 3 points, even 4 points, are deemed as early game cards because 4,000 gold is pretty easy to get in the first 5 minutes of the game, 5-10 minutes of the game. It's really easy to get to this point. Then you have mid-game cards that go from 5 to probably 8 points, okay? Like for example, heavy hitter here. Then you will have cards that are for late game, which go from 8, okay, to 13. Even you have cards like red zone that cost 24 points in order to actually be able to equip it. So those are late game cards, okay? So my first tip for you in order to actually build your deck is to choose your end game cards first, and then you make your way to that end game, okay? So let's see, I feel that Vampiric Blade is a really good card for sustain. Also it grants a good amount of attack speed, so I'm gonna put that one, okay? That's one of my late game cards, okay? Also, when you see a card that you like, that you think it might fit the hero that you are actually going to use with this deck, you gotta pay attention to the points that are required. And the reason is you gotta pay attention to the points that you need. For example, in Vampiric Blade you need 7 agility and 6 vitality, because that's how you're gonna actually make your way to that end game. So for example, I know that in order for me to get this card as fast as I can through the game, I need to have a deck that goes with agility and vitality. It doesn't work, for example, if I go with Servok Initiate, for example. That doesn't work for me because it has vitality and knowledge, okay, or intellect. It's not going to work, okay? It's going to be harder for me in order to get to these two cards. So I need to build a deck with certain timeline, for example, okay, saying that way. So I'm going to use Vampiric Blade, okay, and you gotta bear in mind that you have a total of 25 points to spend in gems, okay, and points per gems. You got the wheel, let's say this is kind of like a wheel of a car or something like that, where you can put your gems, and it's a total of 25 points that you can spend per each attribute, okay? So when you actually look at this, you gotta count in your end game, okay, I have 7 points in agility, plus, for example, I want to add Shatter Golem, so I really have 20, so I have 5 points more to use in agility. So I gotta go and trying to find a card that fit that amount of attribute points, okay? So this one, for example, if I want to have that crawler, I won't be able because it's 30 points. So this cannot be my end game card, my end game cards, okay? It cannot be because I will need more points and I cannot have them. So we're gonna remove this. I like more Shatter Golem, okay, because it grants attack speed, and we're building a deck towards Twin Blast, and we need a lot of attack speed. So we got that. Probably we can use Compensator Rig, but we will need 10 points in vitality. That's more, that carries more focus on you getting vitality, and we are a carry, so we need to have attack speed and damage. So we are more focusing on agility in the first stage of the game, in the mid game. So I probably would add, I will more likely add Wound Seeker, okay. That Wound Seeker won't fit because it's 6 points on agility. So let's see. We can use Unstable Cyborg. That's really good. He has a really good passive. And we can actually throw Yomi, that's gonna help us in the mid game. Also Heavy Hitter will help us in the mid game. We have Swap Stalker, we have the Isolate passive, which grants you a 30 bonus on basic attacks when you are not with a hero ally, so that's pretty good. That will help us in the mid game. We keep going. We have Guidance Slayer, we can help us in the mid game. We have Overclock Droid. I really like this card. I will use it in the first early mid stage of the game, but this card I will say is a part of my end game, okay? And the reason is because it has a really good active which is Frenzy, and we will have more attack speed, which will allow us to survive with the active that we have with Vampiric Blade. So if we have a better DPS, we will have a better lifesteal. So that's really, I really like the combination of Overclock with Vampiric and Shadow Color. That will be our end game, okay? So now we keep going. We're going to add in the early game War Piercer, because it have a really nice amount of damage, but also it have armor penetration. It will allow us to deal better damage in the mid game, which is a thing that I feel Paragon need to change. Carries can only be carries at the end of the game. Actually, in the early and mid game, they feel kind of, I don't know, sloppy. They don't deal too much damage. They rely too much on their support. I don't know. I don't feel that's the way how a carry should be. I feel they should be able to actually deal damage through the entire game, and that's why they're carries. They're really squishy heroes with high DPS. Right now I don't feel they have a really high DPS. It's better right now in version 44 than it was on version 42, but I feel they need to improve that. Also, we're going to add a sprint. Okay, sorry, we're going to add a sprint, because that will help us to survive. We'll be able to active this ability, and we will be able to run away from damage. Also, we will just use Sand Speeder, and for our early start we're gonna use Demolitionist and Cool of the Week, I will say. Okay, we're gonna get Sand Seeker, and we're gonna add Cool of the Week. So as you can see, you can choose a total amount of 12 cards. This is how I should do my deck. As I said, the end game cards will be Vampiric Blade, Shatter Golem, and Overclock Droid. That's going to be my end game, okay? And how I actually build it, the first point is going to be for Cool of the Week, Demolitionist, and we're gonna make our way to Shatter Golem first, then Vampiric Blade, and Overclock Droid. That's how we're going to do like our time frame, let's say, or timeline of the deck. Then we're going for the gems. We are going to spend all the points in agility and 1 point in vitality. So the first one here is going to be Auto Heal Potion. Is the best one in the tree of the attribute points. Then we gotta think really nice, really careful with this. We have Ruthless, deal additional 2 basic damage for every 10% of enemy heroes missing health. So that's really good. It means that every time that you deal damage, you're gonna keep dealing more damage, because you're gonna actually take down the enemy's health. So that's really good. So we're going to place that fast travel. I don't see it in Twin Blast. We got our Nitro Boost, and we got Overclock in order to escape, and also we have our dash, which is pretty good. Here we're gonna use multi-shot, of course. We can also use lifesteal in order to have a better sustainability. If you want, you can use lifesteal to have a better sustainability, but I'm going with multi-shot because we're gonna have a lot of DPS, and also we have Imperial Blade in the late game, which will provide us with its active a lot of sustain in order to survive. So I'm gonna pick Mutation with a power attribute on it. Then we're gonna go here for, we can go here for power rounds, okay, or piercing basics, okay. I will pick piercing basic because we don't have right now in the late game, we don't have a card that grant us actually basic penetration. We are a carry, so we will be mainly doing damage through our basic attacks. So I'm going with piercing basic with, let's see, I will go with basic armor, and the last will be, of course, Relentless Pursuit, which will allow us to chase the enemy and deal a lot of damage without having the penalty in the movement speed every time that we shoot our basic. So we're gonna we get it with basic armor, power. We're gonna use this one, attack speed and basic armor. And for vitality, it's going to be simple. We're going for armor, or you can go with damage reduction too. It's pretty good. For this build, I will advise more damage reduction because you have the active with Vampiric Blade, which will give you the overflowing fist in order to have a really nice amount of life steal for 3 seconds. So having the damage reduced at least by 10% and then using Vampiric Blade in order to survive, it's going to be really good. So that's gonna be, and then you just only need to name your deck. Let's say Vampiric Twin. Let's call it that. And there you go. There you have your deck. You just click save and exit, and there you have your deck, Vampiric Twin. So that's how I build my decks. Remember that the main tips are: first, you gotta know the hero. What are his abilities, or what ability he has that make him different from the other heroes, in order for you to create a deck around that ability and improve that ability in order to make him different and better in his role. Okay, then the second tip is, when you have that narrowing down and you're going to pick your affinities for the deck, bear in mind that you need the first affinity to improve that specific ability that that hero has, and you need to have a second affinity for sustainability. Okay, so that's the second tip in order for the hero to actually survive and have a really sustainability in the game and be able to keep harassing the enemies and to be in the team fights and to provide the help that we need in order to secure the win. Okay. Third, when you enter into the panel to create the deck, first pick your late game cards and then make your way through the late game. It's the easiest way to do it. Okay, take into consideration what I'd say about the points. If your late game points are your points for attribute, are focusing on agility and vitality like the deck I just create, don't go in the mid run of the game or in early cards of the game with cards from intellect. That will make everything more difficult for you in the match. Okay, so that's my last advice to you. So, well guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. I hope you like it. I hope I'll resolve all of your questions or your doubts that you have been texting me to Twitter and to other media sources. So, well guys, I hope you like it. If you do, remember to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And well guys, see you next time. Peace.